So hi, I'm Prabhu here. I'm a backend developer working in Specbee. So just I want to take a bit about mastering Drupal configuration synchronization. So let's go to the second slide. So the topic is only, how to manage or how to configure our Drupal configuration in different sites, meaning different environment, which is like dev and then staging and then production. So let me go to my second slide. So this is what after this session we will be taking away from, you will be taking away from my session after it is completed. So the first point was about configuration management. It is a critical aspect of managing configuration in our Drupal CMS. So we are maintaining several set of environment, as I said earlier, a dev, staging, and then production. So we need to maintain the configuration same for all. So even there are some rare cases where we can split the configuration, meaning so in dev I need this set of configuration to be present in my dev, or else in staging, so these are the set of configuration, so that should be present in dev, likewise in the production. So actually the configuration management, it allows developer to import and export the configuration from each environment. So in environment which refers to dev, staging, and in case if we have a UAT, then production. So there are module which support configuration management. So we have a module in core which is called configuration management, and there are some country modules which enhance those configuration management. That is config split, and then future module, and config ignore module. So these are the module which support or enhance the Drupal configuration management. And then there are some of the key concept for importing and exporting. So I will be telling what are those key concept to import and export those modules. As and there are 10 to 12 number of developers who are working in the same site. So if he or she are making any changes in those configuration management, and then again someone is coming and avoiding those, overwriting those configurations, so it will lead misunderstanding, or I mean leads failure in the site. So some of the key concept or importing and configuration management it is done. Then how we can overcome this problem is to make a version control in configuration management. So version control, which means we will be referring to Git. So we will be uh, tracking all those configurations which are changed, or which are deleted, or which are income into the site system. How to do configuration sync in UA. So I will tell you that how we will be doing those configuration sync in our Drupal UI. So before going to the, jumping into the site, just to convey that how it was maintained, those configuration management, how the configuration management was maintained in Drupal 8, earlier Drupal 8 version. So in earlier version, the configuration are exported as a PHP files, and then now in Drupal 8 afterward, it was exported as a YML files, and then configuration and then content are in the same data source. It is in the earlier version. The configuration and then import and export are dependent on the contrib model. It is for the earlier version, but for as of now, meaning after Drupal 8, we have a model. Which is earlier contributed model. Now it is comes as a core model, which is called configuration management. So what is configuration management? So it is just name implies that managing your configuration in your site. So which is called a configuration management. In this configuration management, so we will take a two set of entities. So there are many entities. So just regarding this configuration management, we have two set of entities. One is the content entity. Another one is the configuration entity. So the entity which will be exported as a YML file, which are called as configuration entity. So the entity which could not be converted as a YML file, which is called as content entity. So let me show some of those example. I'm going to on another page. Okay, I have created some Pantheon site. So let me show you what are content entity and then configuration entity. So in my site, I'm going to the content and clicking the content. So I'm going to add a content. It will be like basic page. So likewise, test and saving it. So this content which we will be calling this as a node. So this node it won't comes under the configuration entity. These are content entity. These are only the content. It won't be converted as a YML file. And then there are some other like structure, taxonomy term. So here's the same. Add term. So these terms will be comes under the content entity. It won't be comes under the configuration entity. Same wise, so we have some menu entity. I mean menu items. So the menu type will be comes under the so menu item will be like edit menu. And structure menus. Let me go to main navigation. So I'm adding a link. So this link, it won't comes under the configuration entity. So it is like a content entity. So it cannot be exported to the, I mean, as a core module, it won't allow us to export those menu links. Whereas we have some other module to support this synchronization something is menu sync or menu export some of the module which will allows us to export those menu links. So these are some of content entity. So let me go. I mean, let me show some of the configuration entity. Let's say we will be creating view, right? So this view will be the configuration entity, and then we will be creating a content type. Right? So this content type will be the article page and then basic page. If I am creating new one, that will be comes under the configuration entity, and then the field which we are going to create within the content type. This so create a new field. So these and all this like let me create an example text text field save and continue save fields save setting. So now this field so this will be comes under the configuration entity. So these are the main difference between content and then configuration entity. In Drupal core modules, so configuration management that provides a tool for exporting and importing and managing configuration. This is the core module, meaning the module name is configuration management. In config sync directory, the exported configuration files are stored. So whenever we are exporting the configuration flow, those configuration, meaning that YML file will be stored under config/sync. So there will be a folder which will holds those all those configuration data. I mean configuration YML data, and then those YML data are tracked in the version control tool like Git. So let me show you where it was stored. So I have my local setup. So here, this is my TECHX Drupal site. I have a folder name called config. Within this config, I will expand it. So within this config, we have a sync. Within sync, which is means synchronization. So within the synchronization, all those configuration entities are generated and stored as a YML form. So this is where all our configuration will be stored. We can declare some other path, but it is recommended to have those config folder out of your root or web directory. This is my web directory. I am getting it out of my web directory. So this is recommended. Why? Because it is said that there may be chance to access your config files if it is within the web folder. So that is the reason which we are maintaining it out of config. I mean out of web folder. That is our root folder. So why we need a configuration sync? So what is the impact which will this configuration sync will create? For example, handling a sensitive information like we have some credentials and then some of user credentials or some of the API keys, and then those API keys and credentials should be taken care of. I mean, it should be sensitive data or matter of users, PAN, something else. So it should be a sensitive data. So those sensitive data should be stored in a good place. So that is the reason we will be creating for handling those configuration. We will can create a system from configuration settings. So we will store those data. So likewise, to manage or store the sensitive data, we will need a config sync. And next, to avoid git conflict, as I said earlier, so there are n number of developers who are working. So each one comes and then make those changes. It was just example, like say for example, we don't have a git in for the configurations. So each one comes and come to the site and they are making their own changes. So we don't know. So who have did these changes or what happened to the my older configuration which have did. So in case if we have a configuration sync which was tracked under the Bitbucket or a Git tool, so it will help us that who is override those configuration or what is the configuration which is getting in. And then dependency management. This configuration helps us to manage our dependency through all our sites. So I'm going for the next one. These are some of the model which I have explained earlier. So the module configuration management, which is the Drupal core module, this will help us to import and export the configuration. And then even it can help us to manage the configuration, and it will help us to see what are the difference between the older configuration and then new configuration which is coming in. So workflow, how those configuration management workflow will, how it will look like. So initially, if we are doing any configuration changes in our site, so first we will be coming to the terminal. So we will be entering or typing this command drush config export. This is a short form of that drush CEX. Will export all those configuration as a YML file, and then so we need to add all those config file and commit those configuration changes, git, and then push those configuration changes to your Bitbucket. It may be the branch. This is the branch which may differ as per your. If you are working in a dev, you need to push to dev. So I have added just master. And then after you have pushed those configuration, so what will be the next step is, so we have to log into the staging site. Log in the sense we are terminal, we will be logging like SSH, right? We will to log into the staging or a production. You need to enter git pull origin master. So this will pull all those changes which is pushed. After that, there will be a command called drush config export. So the command will be drush config import. That is short form of this one will be drush CIM. So this is the command to import all those configuration to your current site, whether it may be a staging or it may be a UAT or it may be a production site. So actually in our cases, most of these steps and then this workflow have been configured in CI, that Bitbucket hook itself or the integration which we have already have in our site, which is called CI/CD integrations. And then my next one is the let's go for a demo. So how this process of exporting and importing configurations are taken place. Let me go to this site which I have created. So this is my local site, Lando. I have created via Lando. Now, so what I'm going to do is just I'm going here. Clicking on the content types. Let me create field in basic page. I'm creating a new field. Field name will be text. TECHX demo. I'm saving it. Save the setting. Okay, now I have created a field called TECHX demo. Then in my terminal, lando brush config export. That is a short form CEX. I'm exporting it. So these are the configuration which I have made in my site. So TechX demo is the field which I have created, and then this is for the manage field. One is whether it is default. So this is for the manage fields config. I'm going to enter yes to export those configuration. Now my configuration has been exported. Let me check it status. So here we can find. So I said it is out of web directory. So here we can find config sync and then config file. I am going to add it. Git add config sync. So I am going to add all my configurations. Okay. Git status. So I have added. It is here. Now I am going to commit this. Git commit -m TechX config. I have committed. I'm going to push those changes. Git push origin master. So my branch is master here. That is the reason I am pushing to master. So my changes has been pushed. So as it is Pantheon, it will take some time to, merge those configuration. Merge those changes. Let me check in workflow. Yeah, it will take some time. So meanwhile, I have some other set to explain. So we need to configure this out of web directory. So anyhow, in order to find, meaning a Drupal doesn't know where the configuration was. So in order to identify, or we need to say to the Drupal that my configuration file is located at this location. So we need to say, right? For that, we have a setting.php web sites default setting.php. Open with Visual Studio Code. Okay. So this is my setting.php. Now we can find here in setting.php setting config sync directory. So this is the place where we need to mention our directory where the configuration sync is located at. So then only the Drupal will identify, oh, my configuration sync is located at this directory. So I need to export all my YML file into the config sync directory. So then only the Drupal will knows. Or otherwise, it will export those configuration in a files we have as default. It will be those configuration will be exported under. I think I have deleted here files. Within that files, we have a config and then some hash key value. So there it will export here. So I have changed it to the root directory. As for the safety purpose, I have changed those location to the root directory. So We are clear, right? Where we are declaring config directories. Okay. Now let me check whether my configuration has been exported. It will take around 3 minutes. Okay. Still some. Just be patient. So it will take some time to export. Meanwhile, let me log into this one. So this is I'm using Terminus, which is supported supported by Pantheon. So the normal command, let's say the normal command after importing those, no, first we need to give full origin master. This is the first command. Why? Because I have pushed those changes to the master. So I need to push. So it will in our cases it will happen dynamically. So meaning it has been already configured in our Specbee company. So my next command will be, so after pulling my master, my next command will be drush config import. Drush CAM is the command which will help us to import all those configurations. Okay, let me check whether it is okay. So my file has been pushed. Let me go to my site. Okay, this is my Pantheon site. Config development, configuration development, config sync. So let it be there. Okay. So these are the configuration which I have pushed from my local. Now I am going to import those configurations. So for terminus, we have a set of command. So before making with Pantheon, I need to log in to the terminus. So this is the command which is used to log in a terminus. It won't applicable for us. Why? Because if we are using a Pantheon, it will be applicable. So I don't have some other set of sites. So I'm trying with Pantheon. So from this I have logged in to the Pantheon site. Now I'm going to import my configuration. Terminus drive take TECHX dev is my site alias name, and then config import. So this is the equal command for drive CM. So both this and then this command are same. So I am using a Pantheon. That's the reason why I am importing. I'm making this command. Like I'm going to enter it. So the pull, I mean those pull and all with Pantheon will take care of. So I need to import my configuration. So here is the config which I have pushed. Now I am going to import it. Yes. It is asking us import the list of configuration changes. Now my config has been imported successfully. I think I have some issue with my Pantheon site. Let me check whether it is imported. So the thing is, I have added a field within structure content type. I think I have added a field within basic. Yes, it is not imported. Meaning I have some issue with my Pantheon site. So that is the reason it was imported. If if the system goes right, so there will be a field here, and mean it will be created here as I created in my local. So this demo TechX will be created here. So this is how we will be importing and exporting configuration via dash commands. So there are some other way which is not recommended, but let me tell you those ways. So this is my local site. I'm going here config. Just let me create some view. I'm going here, creating a view, add view, number list, content type will be basic page, create a page, save and edit. So my view has been created. Now I am going here, configuration, development, config sync. Under here, we have a, I mean, different synchronization difference. So if I click here, no, it will give me the difference. So what is the difference? So initially there is no file, but active. This is the changes which is already which is present for in our site. So I'm going here. I'm going to export it. So the in import and export there are many, meaning there are two ways. One is single import, which means we will be importing only a single set of configuration, and then there are full archive, which means it will export all those config. So full archive sometimes gives timeout error. Let me export at a single one. Sorry, export at a single one. Single. Let me. These are the config which are available in our sites. And then this is the config name. Let me export my view. So my view name is member list, I think. So my config is coming here. So this is my YML file. Let copy this, and now I'm switching to the Pantheon site. Config, development, config sync. Now I'm going to import it. So there, here I'm exporting it in the Pantheon site. I'm importing it. Import single item. My config type will be view, and then I'm pasting it here. So once I clicked on import, it will ask whether you want to import your config changes. Yes. If I click confirm, it will import my config changes. So under structure, view, member list. Here it is. So this is how we can import and export the configuration via UI. But the thing is that in case if you are following this, we have a good set of config sync in our system. So definitely your recent manually imported config will be overridden. Why? Because it won't be after if I run rush config import. So whenever we are pushing the changes, this config import will happen. If I do this, so my config will be overrated. So it is better to have a config sync trapped in the version control tool. So now there are some set of model, I mean there are some exceptional case where config sync won't work. Let's say block. So what happened? No, in block the config sync won't work. Why? Because so whenever the block is placed in each and every environment in the sense dev, stage, or production. So the config, I mean the block will create a unique ID for each and every set of environment. So it will cause an issue or it will show error that missing a block is missing handler something. It will show an error. So in this case, what we need to do is just we need to add those block in the staging, export those block configuration, and then put it in your local, push it via Git. So then it will maintain your configs in the block. So this is how I want to explain you about my presentation. Let me know if you have any other doubts regarding this.
Hi guys, thank you for watching. I had an amazing time learning all the new things here at Specbee's TECHX. And if you did too, do let us know in the comments below. Keep following Specbee for the latest trends in technology. See you in the next one.